Good evening and welcome to the May 2020 series of Education Africa. Education Africa is a program here on Ben Television, the UK's largest diaspora TV network for the Africans here in the diaspora. This is our first COVID-19 lockdown edition, so we're not coming to you from the Ben TV studios in London, but from our respective homes across the UK. In this edition, I'm delighted to be joined with me this month, two great inspiring individuals to me for very different reasons. I'm sure they don't know this, but in 2008, they both helped in one way or the other to get our organization established in Abuja, and that really has been a journey for us. But thanks to technology, I'm able to have them both in the same place at the same time. It's usually a difficult thing to have them together, at least as far as the UK is concerned. But we have them here with us today. I'll introduce them in no particular order. But firstly, I want to start by introducing Mrs. Opashi. She is the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of the School Resource Center in Abuja, Nigeria. I like to call it the lighthouse of educational resources, training, and supplies in Abuja. I think anybody who lives in northern part of Nigeria would know the School Resource Center because they would have been impacted by one thing or the other they've done. Ms. Opashi has been shuttling between the UK and Nigeria for, I think, the last 18 months. I think she's still based in Abuja, but I think I see her more in Cambridge these days. But she'll do a better introduction of herself. We also have on this show with us tonight, Mrs. Angela Ajala. Very huge profile, but I'll take something out of her profile. She's the National President of African Women Entrepreneurship Program. She's also been since 2004 the Chief Executive and Managing Director of Ladella Group of Schools, also in Abuja, Nigeria. She's a woman who, in very recent times, have delved into the agricultural sector as well. So education was a mountain she's conquered, and she said, you know what, I want more, let's take another mountain. So she'll be telling us at some point about her educational as well as agricultural adventure as well. So I want our two speakers to just say a bit about themselves and the organization. I'll start with you first, Mrs. Opashi. Over to you.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, hello to all viewers. My name is Opashi, and Benga has done a really nice introduction. I think in summary, I would say I actually play diverse roles in the world of education, and I enjoy bringing people together. So I work with educational businesses, schools, and groups of teachers. And I work on creating platforms and bringing people together, networking events. We help people in terms of giving advisory services. If you're starting a school or you just want to run a more improved, better school system, those are some of the things we've done over the years in our experience. And so I've consulted on a lot of projects also in the public sector. So that I think that could summarize it. And then I'm also the convener of one of the largest education events that brings businesses and educators together. And I'm sure we'll get to talk about that a bit more later on in the segment. So that's in a nutshell. So that's me.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Mrs. Ajala.
Thank you very much, and a pleasure to connect with you, Benga, through this medium. My name is Angela Ajala, and I run a school called Ladella Schools, which we started from Kaduna and then moved to Abuja. We are over 24 years old in the business, and Abuja was a new ground to conquer, and we have from early years to A levels. We also just recently acquired a special diploma teaching process to take teachers in early years on how to navigate in the classrooms. It's not something that is very common in Nigeria. The early years is not seen as an area of great, there are no specialties there. So it's something we're trying to put together to say that that's the foundation for any child. If you get it right at that age, then the child is set for life. Of course, recently, as Benga has rightly said, we've veered into Greek to not only begin, not because of passion also, but to also begin to interest the children on the new things that technology and Greek is beginning to bring out in solving solutions for Africa generally in the food sector. Thank you very much, Gbenga.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And we're going to be hearing more about the agricultural adventure towards the end. I want to jump straight in talking about COVID-19. And I think that, and I'm sure everyone must be tired now of hearing COVID-19,
oh, yes.
all of that. But this show is specifically designed for parents here in the diaspora, viewers in the UK and the rest of Europe as well watching this. And really about promoting educational opportunities in Africa, in Nigeria in this case. So with regards to COVID-19, I mean, how are schools in what is called a third world like Nigeria dealing with the COVID-19 from your experience? So I'll start with you once again, Mrs. Opashi.
Oh, okay. All right. So I think it's been a time of, it's helped everyone to actually evolve into something that, you know, people never thought that they would actually come out with. People have turned up with so many creative solutions. When it all happened, everyone was in a panic. People were doing things individualistically. Everyone was doing things on their own. And then we started, you know, trying to bring people together. So we have people who have started some excellent online platforms, you know, virtual learning for the children. Some people just started from the simple things they could do. So people are taking their time. Some people are using simple WhatsApp groups to continue teaching. Some are very strict and they want the children to be in front of the computers from 8 to 3 or 4 to follow the same day's routine. Some people decided, you know what, we're not even going to go virtual. Come and pick up your books, take your books, and then come again next week and pick your books. So everyone has come up with very creative solutions. But I think the one thing that we've learned, Mr. Jala would speak about, because her school is doing some really amazing work too. But we've learned that this is not the time to be on your own. You must come together. You actually can't achieve it on your own. And so I think that's the one thing that schools, you know, over the years, we keep complaining, why don't they work together? People are not collaborating. But this, no one needed to tell anyone. Everyone needed to come together and, you know, find out what others are doing, support one another. People are actually outside the country have actually decided to give their children a taste of Nigerian education from this opportunity, you know, and so they've actually signed up with some schools just to get a taste of it and expose their children to something new. So people are actually exploring different options, you know, so that's what it's done, is given people the opportunity to explore different options.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. And Mr. Jalai, obviously you run a group of schools, like there are a group of schools. I mean, how has in your own particular case, how is your school responding to this challenge?
Thank you very much, Gbenga. One of the first things we realized was that flexibility was very key. This was something that was very uncertain, not clear to anybody. The pathway was not clear. So it was important that we needed to break the hierarchies, what we needed to do, and bring everybody on board to bring out the potentials they had in reaching out to how we're going to meet the children. Online learning for everybody, almost every school pivoted almost immediately into it, because before the pandemic, to some extent, many of the schools were already doing something online, but it wasn't a full program. It wasn't something they were doing 24/7. So it was easy to pivot immediately this happened and begin to have a blend of how this will go.
Yes.
And because of the uncertainty of how things were, initially some people were doing every day. And like Mrs. Opashi said, some were even doing like a typical school, you know, from 7 in the morning to when they will close and all that. But over time, as things evolve, and as you begin to engage with your stakeholders, you begin to see the need and the challenges of infrastructure, the challenges of technology, the challenges of data, and we began to adapt accordingly to make sure that this happened. And so, like she also said, even the basic technology like WhatsApp, you will be amazed at what WhatsApp can do in teaching and learning, the extent to which the creativity of teachers came out in making that to happen. And one other thing was that it gave many of us a chance to bring on board many of the things you couldn't even do in the regular classroom because the curriculum is already so choked.
Yeah.
So we began to look at skills of the future. We began to look at the kind of skills children we need. We began to look at values. We began to look at character. We began to look at other things that the children could begin to build in this season and that will put them in great stead for the future to meet any challenges they'll meet.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a lot that the schools have done. And this is not a political show, but I would say that it therefore seems quite odd to me that in some cases, some parents are not really willing to pay the full school fees. But we wouldn't go into that one right now, because I think that's for another forum. But I think what I can deduce from what you've said is that it's brought out the best in people. There's been a lot of collaboration. There's been creativity.
It has.
And we've had to think outside the box. So we've coped very well with COVID-19.
As best as we can, I think.
Yes, we have.
I think so.
Would you say the Ebola experience has helped us in a way to prepare for this?
Okay. You go ahead.
And go first.
Okay, I think one of the things that we're still replicating, which we were doing when Ebola came, was back to the hand washing persistence, and then the temperature check and the sanitizer. So we did that at that time, and then we it waned off. Waned off ahead, and then so that's something that everyone is bringing back urgently. So that now we've added the face masks and the shields if we need to have those ones. So, so for that aspect, that's been quite helpful. People just retrieve some of the things that they were doing before and try to bring back the habits. But the difference with the COVID-19 is that it's not as clear. The Ebola was, they have the high temperature and this is what it is, and then there's so many symptoms of the COVID that are being, uncovered every day. So people are still a bit weary about that. But I would say it's helped people to prepare, because the airports back home still continue. They never stopped their temperature checks at the airport. So that's something they were doing in the international airports in Nigeria. So they never stopped doing that. So that's one thing at least that a lot of other countries were not, unless they have hidden thermal things that we can't see in other airports.
Okay. I want to just throw another question still on that to Mrs. Ajala. I mean, are you in support of schools reopening this academic year, or are you one of those in favor of let's wait till September? Because of course in the UK that's now. Do we start now or do we wait till later on? What are your thoughts?
Honestly, Gbenga, let me speak from the point of view of Nigeria. Okay. Right now, as we speak, there has been no protocol document giving even the minimum requirements for resumption of schools. And so we are developing our documents ourselves on what would be the minimum requirements that you need to guarantee the safety of a child. Mm-hmm. Where are the emergencies number? Where are the emergency numbers you need to call if there's any problem? Yeah. The NCDC already is overwhelmed with so much. And they are just beginning. I was listening to one of the InstaLife chat Mrs. Opashi had with one of the doctors. And he said they've just begun to approve private labs to be part of the testing and all that. Yeah. So there's still a lot we need to put in place. We're talking about the safety of children, and in this season, I think everybody will agree that we put people above profit in whatever it is we're doing. And so if there is one single emergency in a school, the entire system will shut down. Yeah. And I just think we need to put everything in place and be ready. Yes. To before we begin to welcome these schools. And we need to agree on the kind of arrangements we need to put in place. If you have a certain square meters of space, how many people can it take? Do you need to do a shift system? Do you need to do a rotational system? Because you're not just thinking of the children alone in this case, you're also thinking of the staff. Some of the staff you have come with public transport. So which means they can come with whatever it is they come with. You need to put a transport system in place that gives the teachers that have access to private vehicle to pick others not more than 2 or 3. And also there's a lot that hasn't been put in place than to just open the system up like that. So I think we need to do more to put in place the safety measures that will guarantee comfort and confidence in the parents before they release their children to us.
So you're saying let's wait till September, which is fine. I'm also with you on that one. But how do we handle mental health? Because one of the big issues coming from studies, particularly in places like the UK, is that the longer students stay at home, it comes with all sorts of issues. I mean, not having those sort of social interactions with their friends, not meeting with those very difficult teachers that they hate to love and love to hate, but now they're missing those teachers. So, I mean, the longer we keep this going, of course, the longer those sort of mental health and social challenges would persist. So how do we deal with that in the meantime?
I think one of the things that we're trying to encourage, as Mzela mentioned also, is a lot of engagement between the young people, the school, and the parents too. Because a lot of people that have called me, interestingly, they say things like, I don't know what's wrong with these people. They're busy complaining and they're at home. I'm like, it's very, very difficult. We're all talking about how hard it is on us, maybe in terms of the economy and the rest. But these students, these things really matter to the young people. The interaction, knowing that they can go out freely. Like my daughter, I think she was virtual. I think she has gone out, in 8 weeks, when she has gone out three times. In like 8 weeks. I mean, she's a social butterfly normally, so she's always everywhere. So I try and find time to make sure I ask them, how are you guys doing? Are you guys coping? I'm just to interact with them, because I don't want to make assumptions too. So it's not easy for them. It's not easy for us staying, stuck at home or being very cautious when we have to go out. So mental health is something that we should take quite seriously. And apart from all the teaching that we're doing with the math, the English, and the all the main sciences and things like that, we need to be able to have maybe talk line. Schools can be able to say, okay, you talk about anything. Yes. So call on this line, private kind of chat, those kind of things. And then parents, if possible, schools can also interact with parents, let them know how to draw out information from their children, engage with them on that level. Because if you ask the surface question of how are you doing, you're fine, okay, you're fine, that's fine. Then there's no interaction. So a lot of things, the children are also dealing with this and finding ways to cope. Some of them are stuck on their phone. TikTok is like their best friend, so yeah. So I think it's important that we continue talking to them, trying to find ways that we can pass the message. If you see, simple videos, get the school to try and send. And just, if you can't talk to them, find someone who can. But I think the important thing is that someone is interacting with them, and they know that they can also let off steam somewhere. That's for the young people. Yeah.
I'm going to bring you back in, but this time around I've been on a lot of platforms over the last couple of weeks with Nigeria, the commissioners of education, and all sort of interesting stakeholders. But I hear a lot about the student welfare. But what about the teachers' mental health? This might be difficult for teachers as well. They're not, they're also part of this. They're having to learn new things. They're having to be online, technology. They probably have children who are equally at home. Some of them are home with spouses that are becoming too stressful for them. So how are we supporting our teachers during this season?
Okay. For us, for example, we're doing a one-on-one counseling with them, and we have an open line. We've told them if there are issues you want to talk about, if there are things that are troubling you. We currently share with them, is an open system. Yeah. So that, like I said, the hierarchy has been flattened. So there's no hierarchy of this is an head of department, this is no, there's no space for that now. We are all trying to survive in a pandemic, and so we're all supporting and holding each other up. And so I lead by example. If I wake up in a day and I'm not feeling too good, I'm feeling moody, I put it there, how are you guys feeling today? I'm not feeling too good. And then you see all of them beginning to rally around, what's the, you must feel good though. If you don't feel good, then, and then so that gives them also, then somebody will say, that's true. Yesterday too, I wasn't like this. So we're supporting each other up. We have a counseling unit that is holding everybody up one-on-one. We're sharing motivational stories. We're sharing inspirational stories. We're asking them for issues that are particular or personal to them that we can support with, so that they know that there's a family unit behind them in all this, because they are the frontliners for us. Yes. Just as the medical people are the frontliners of the health, they are the frontliners for us interacting with the children. And if they have a problem with their health or they're not in the right frame of mind, they cannot deliver whatever it is you want them to deliver. And so it's important that, and as we do that, we're also training. We're doing a lot of training online, different things, This evening there was a training, they wanted us to learn how to do something, one video they wanted us to download. I told them, I said, I don't even know how to download it. Where is it located? Everybody said, tell us. So it's a time for humor, it's a time for empathy, it's a time for teamwork, it's a time for collaboration, it's a time for problem solving, relationship management. Those are the indices for success in this season.
Excellent. I like that. And I think for parents listening to this, and the reason why I thought it was important we share this is that very often there's always the assumption that schools in Nigeria are just worried about examinations, and this aspect of welfare and well-being is not taken into consideration. I'm now going to move more into specifics to parents who are here, and particularly those who are always looking at opportunities back in Nigeria for their children. There are a number of reasons parents consider Nigeria. One, or Africa, one would be discipline. Some people say morals. Some would look at it from the cost implication, particularly if you want a private education. Particularly now in the COVID season, you may have lost your job in the UK, but you still want your children to have high quality private education. I think some will be looking at Nigeria for sure at a time such as this. Others are thinking about safety issues. So my question really would be, I'll start with you, Mr. Jala, now. For parents who want to send their children to a place like Nigeria and Abuja in this case, from your experience, what are some of the things that they should be looking out to when making this plan? What are some of the things from your experience you consider very important for parents?
It's important for them to look at the quality of the leadership team of the school. And don't be carried away with social media, websites, and the things you see. It's important because that can be done beautifully well. And what is beneath it is nothing to write home about. And you need to engage. You need to get referrals. You need to hear testimonials of alumni, of parents that have passed through the school. You need to ask questions. You need to be comfortable. You need to know that there's a teaching team that cares and that you can put your child in a place and you're at peace, that that child will be looked after 101%. And at times you do need to pay a visit because there's at times what a visit does. You get into the atmosphere, you speak to the people, and your heart settles that this is it for you. And so for me, I know that off the top of the cuff, they will look at the quality of the leadership, they look at the quality of the teaching team, they'll look at the curriculum. Do they have a dynamic curriculum that takes care of not only academic issues, but also looks at things like bullying, mental health, collaboration, leadership, financial literacy, things that the child will need in the future. So they need to have a look at that. And also there's a school for every child. You know, there is a school for every child. There are certain things your child will need that it will be fitted in a particular school and all that. So there are certain questions you will need to ask to know if that is the right school for your child. But on the whole, like I say, schools in Abuja, there are quite a number of schools that are doing excellently well and that you can go to sleep if you put your child there.
Yes.
I'm still going to drill you further on that. And my question on that would also be things like curriculum. So I'm bringing a child from the UK. How does that transition take place? You know, can schools cope in Nigeria? Are the teachers trained to understand the British curriculum, for example?
Well, you know, almost 70% of the schools in Nigeria use the British curriculum. Almost already. Many of them use the British curriculum merged with the Nigerian curriculum. And those that use the Nigerian curriculum, honestly, we even believe the Nigerian curriculum is far, far, far better than even the British curriculum. Because the Nigerian curriculum pushes you to the maximum of what you're expected to know and what you're expected to do. It is the delivery and the implementation that varies from school to school. And that's where normally people have issues and said, oh, that school didn't do it well or whatever. In terms of curriculum, we are good. You know, that's why you say our children come from Nigeria to go anywhere in the world and they excel because they've been pushed to work hard. They've been pushed to study beyond what they expected to know. And recently we started fighting for the push when we said, no, don't skip a class, don't skip primary 6. Because from primary 5, parents want to push to JS1 and the children are ready for it. And we're saying, don't skip a class. Make sure you go class by class because the children we know they can cope, but we also know there's a space for mental ability. There's a place where you need to be ready emotionally and socially, not just cognitively. It's not an issue of an academic issue alone. And so these teachers in Nigeria, they are constantly trained. And that's one of the things you can find out. You can find out what's the CPD of the teachers, how are they trained, what are the things they've been trained on, and all that. Training is a key part because we recognize the fact that if you don't train them, you cannot deliver for your clients what you expect to do. And because the world is a global village now, where the children go to different places and make you proud, you can't want to be seen to be found wanting in the things you do. So we are ready.
Absolutely. So the message from that is that there's a lot of investment in teacher training, a lot of investment exposing teachers. Mr. Pasha, I see you're getting yourself set in the background. My question, because obviously you're a parent whose children have experienced what I would say the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
How would it compare in your view? I mean, you've seen what operates on this side. You've also seen what operates on the other side. What will be your objective perspective on, perhaps what we're doing better than this side in Nigeria?
What we're doing better on this side. Okay, let me just see that. Let me see the both.
We're doing better on your side, I mean. So.
That side. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so my first son, he's in university here. So he did we did boarding secondary school in Abuja, and I think one of the things I like is the fact I was actually particular when I was going to these schools to ask them to be sure that they're not being over pampered. For me, that was something major. I'm like, do they get to wash their own clothes? And I think the schools were actually, they weren't sure how to answer. They were like, is she asking because she wants us to wash their clothes? Or I'm like, no, I actually want to make sure that they do all this stuff themselves, that they make their beds. So the curriculum and the rest, I knew all those ones because I've worked with some of these schools before. So those weren't even my major concerns. I wanted to know the extracurricular activities that they do. And so I think what is done for having that experience of being in a school, in a boarding school in Nigeria, you get that feel of knowing more about our culture. I guess a lot of our children don't actually know about our culture. They don't know anything.
Yeah.
They don't even know what state. Some people are still saying, what state are we from? Are we from Lagos or something? Like, you're not from Lagos, you're not. As a lot of children don't know where they're from. They don't know their they might not speak their language, so fine, that's okay. They don't know what state they're from. They mix up, you ask a lot of kids, they say, are we from London? Or I said, no, you're not from London. You're actually from maybe Ogun State, or you're from this state, So so it gives them that time where they get to know more about Nigeria. And sometimes some schools, some parents have found that they actually want the kids to go to schools where they can carry buckets, just do those things that we're doing to us, take a bucket of water, go and those are experiences that it might seem funny for a lot of parents, but some people want the children to have that, to experience that, as part of it, because they have these stories to tell when they're done. So one thing I've seen here with the boarding schools here, the curriculum is very wide. The secondary schools, the curriculum is very wide. The subjects, I think I can't remember how many subjects they do there. They really span. They do a lot of subjects. They have longer days. But for my son, my middle son here, who is here, and my daughter, the teachers, I have to commend them 101 times. Also back home, teachers were excellent. They were really quite good. Here, I found that I was listening to my son do a chemistry chat with his friend yesterday to answer some questions, and I didn't understand one single thing. But the way they're talking about the chemistry, as if chemistry was their friend, they were just like, no, it's a propylene, whatever. No, CH this, you have to, and I'm just listening to them. So they've got them really grounded. So they're quite grounded and all that. Sometimes for here, the discipline methods, they're very diplomatic. So I'm like, okay, because back home you might not have been that diplomatic. So sometimes I'm like, so as Mr. Jala was saying, there is a school that's right for every child. And so anyone who's deciding to send their children to maybe from Nigeria to the UK or whichever way you want to go, you have to know what exactly you're looking for. So for mine, I know the way I know that they can handle some of these aspects. If there were any other particular way, I wouldn't want them being in a place where the discipline is not like a bit tough. So you have to know what you're looking for and what will work for you. Yeah. So
Thank you very much. Listen, and I was going to ask you, I mean, this is something that as someone running a school, you can, and I'm sure you would have had this experience of people returning from US, Canada, perhaps the UK. In London in particular, one of the reasons parents would look at having their children come to Nigeria tends to be something to do with discipline, to do with culture. and things like that. I mean, what would be your sort of perspective in terms of sending children back to Nigeria and how the discipline issue is addressed? Because for some of them, it's like we're trying to correct them and they've lost their way here and we're sending them back to Nigeria to fix that problem. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, should we just be sending them for discipline and correcting things, or should there be a bigger purpose to send them back beyond just discipline?
I think that's a narrow way to look at it, because the two countries, if you look at Britain, if you look at Nigeria, the cultural contexts are different. And so the way you will bring up a child and the expectations and the freedom the child has and has grown up with is different from Nigeria. So it's a question of the function of the culture where the child grew up in. For a Nigerian parent, it may be difficult because you can't fight the system. And if the child, they know their rights, they know all these things and all that. And so you are there trying to raise a child in the way you think you should, but there's a system in place that allows certain things and that gives the child certain freedom. In Nigeria, that is not the case. In Nigeria, a child is a child. I mean, the cultural belief is absolute respect, for elders. You can't be walking on the veranda and a child is coming. The child will stand aside for you to pass. He cannot go shoulder to shoulder with you. Those are examples of that is a way of life. So it's the cultural perspectives that are different that bring up the kinds of imbalances we see and we think is a disciplinary problem. So looking at it, discipline is a narrow way. It's beyond that, because you want to raise the child in the way you think you were raised, or in the way you think that is your culture, what it should be. But you are not in your culture. You're not raising within that culture. So you go the extra mile to do all those things. So it's beyond, it's not the child doesn't have discipline and all that. It's just in us. In fact, in Nigeria, they will tell you, even those that are here, they will tell you their parents will speak, their mother will speak to them just with a blink of an eye, and they understand about 3 sentences that have been said.
I don't understand
with
that.
the blink of that eye and all that. That is how we are. So bringing them back home to do that cultural thing will be ingrained in the child. The child will understand that where I come from, this is how we do things, and will give the child a global perspective to be able to compare even when he goes back, and have a more balanced view of the world and be able to interact as a better adult. That's how I see it.
Absolutely. So maybe we should have a more positive spin to the experience that you're going to Nigeria to become well-rounded, well-balanced, understand the rest of the world.
That's it.
Not just discipline.
It's not discipline, no.
Yes. I saw something once. I know you've said a lot about how the two cultures are different, but you've also mentioned about the curriculum. I saw something once in Lagos where a school said, we're very proud of our Britishness. I mean, how British is your school, Mrs. Ajala, for example? I mean, if a child is sent there, would they be prim and proper, or would I get a Nigerian flavor as well?
Well, you will get a well-rounded child that is an excellently well-brought-up child with good character, with competence, and with good academics. It's a mix. The competence will be there, the character will be there, the capacity will be there. So you have a child that can withstand the storms of life. Yeah. You have a child that can think through problems. You have a child that has a sense of team, that can work in a team. You have, it's a more difficult thing to go. Recently we began to hear cases of depression and all that. It's not within us. Our attitude to life does not even bring it to bear and all that. So you are likely to have a child that you will be proud of, a child that can stand and take a decision on his or her own, a child that can bring up even his or her own siblings because he has seen what life is and he has gone through the grains. We don't butter a child up. We'll tell you as it is, because there's no authority you want to report anybody to that has spoken to you and have told you to do the right thing and all that. I'm trusting that your parents have given you to me in trust and in confidence that they want a good child. So you're not in a position to tell me how to bring you up as the child. So we can reason with you, the students have a voice. There's a student representative council. They have a voice on how things should go, how they like it. And we come to a consensus agreement on how that will be. But the child is definitely not in charge. Not in charge. We're clear about that. The child is not in charge.
Very traditional, very traditional structure.
Very.
Excellent. Mr. Pashi, the question for you, I mean, you obviously work with schools in Abuja, northern Nigeria, and other parts of Nigeria. I mean, what are schools in Nigeria and Abuja in particular doing about promoting themselves to parents, for example, in the diaspora? So, for example, schools like Ladella School, what about their entrance exams? How do we get forms here in the UK? What are your thoughts?
Okay, so in the meantime, a lot of people, what they do is they just go on a website. People do a lot of random searches. Unfortunately, if you do a search and say, I'm looking for the top 10 or 20 best schools, that's the kind of questions that they type in. You actually get some, what they do is that they send you maybe the schools with the highest fees, which may not really be the best schools. So I think it's usually better, as Mr. Jala had already said, to ask the right questions and then try and always get someone who is on ground. Someone who is on ground. So it's better to call someone for referrals. I actually have a ready list of, I think about 20 secondary schools on my phone. I have it saved on my notes because a lot of people call me all the time. I'm like, okay, can I have your WhatsApp number? And I just send it to them. And I have little comments about some of the schools, and I keep adding that information for them. So many schools, if you go on the website, you would see admissions, and then you can download their forms. There's also the newspapers. Different parts of times of the year, like I think in October and November, you usually see some papers have the center pages. They have different schools, and they bring them together and have their entrance exam dates. So what you're going to have to be doing in the meantime, if you're going on their social media pages or you're going on their websites, you would see that. But you have to know what you're looking for once again. You have to know what you're looking for.
Well, it's a great thing you said, actually. One of the things we've done on the Education Africa website is that's a facility that perhaps working with SRC is something that we're looking at, where we have a directory of schools in locations. So the parents here know what the next step should be and you know, how they do the entrance exams. Do they have to travel? Can it be done virtually on Skype and things like that? We're going to move on now to the ASNE event coming up, but I want to just ask Mr. Jalai a final question. I'm sending my child to Ladella School. He loves chicken and chips and fish and chips. I mean, what does the menu look like? Are you going to accommodate that at all?
Oh, yes. The menu, you know, for children, if you want to keep them, that's the most important thing you must get right, the menu.
So true.
And so, I mean, if you get food right for them, I mean, 50% of your war, you've won it. And so it's a menu that is open. You know, rice is international, chicken is international, chips, plantain, and all that. So definitely, I mean, those are of course, it's going to try new things. It will try new things, but you know, if you are not, what we do now, if you are not open to trying new things, then you have bread as an option. So we're hoping that you'll be adventurous enough. But they are not new things that are deep.
Yeah, they're not
you know, nothing deep. Just general food too, you know, of rice in different forms, yam in different forms, beans. Children don't like beans. Beans in different forms, you know, chips, plantain, you know, sweet potatoes, puddings, pies, all that. So it is the same kind of food children eat all over.
Great. I must say, in credit in fairness to Nigerian schools, I had a recent sort of feedback, or let me call it a testimony from a Nigerian doctor, one of the top Nigerian doctors here in the UK, who's actually also leading the COVID fight in Nigeria. I wouldn't mention his name, but every time the president of Nigeria's briefing, he's always there in the background. He told me something a couple of months ago. His son was in a school in Cambridge. During his GCSE options, he had to pick the options for GCSE. The teachers told him, I think you should go to vocational school because he cannot cope with academic subjects. His father, being a top doctor in the UK, was concerned that how could I be told that my child should become a carpenter or something that's not acceptable. He's a shy boy. He didn't like talking in school, so they thought there was something wrong. Well, he was sent to Abuja for two and a half years. He's now back in the UK. He came back with all A's in his GCSEs. And he's predicted 2 A stars and an A in his A levels. So that was a child the system had written up completely here. But a great job was done to sort of salvage that child in Nigeria. So I'm not saying fairness to our system, we do not give up too soon.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Often
We don't.
you give up very quickly, but I think people believe in you, that there's more to come from you. So I
Mhm.
must celebrate you, champions of education in Nigeria.
Thank you.
It's very encouraging.
Very encouraging. Thank you.
Great. The next, it's a special year this year for ASNE. ASNE is the Annual Schools Needs Expo, and that's the background. Very colorful, and it's a 10th year anniversary. It's a big 10th year this year, and this year as well we're having its first virtual fair. Sorry, virtual. Is it a summit this year, or is it?
Yeah, the Learning Festival. It's called.
Festival,
Learning
yeah.
Festival.
There's a lot going on. So it's also a demonstration of the forward-thinking leadership with SRC as well as ASNE to talk about a virtual program this year. So like Mrs. Opashi as the sort of visionary and convener of that, that used to be a fair, now a festival, to throw some more light. I mean, how did you come about this? I mean, what led to this? Actually, I remember that first event. By the way, when I look back at the pictures, I remember that actually I wasn't there, but my colleagues were at that first event, and it sort of moved a great deal. So, I mean, what led to that program? And, can you just shed some more light on what inspired you to start such a critical program for Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll try to remember to send you the pictures of them. So we started in 2009. And in general, as we said, because we work with so many schools in different capacities, so we have training programs, and people would tend to call us, do you know where I could buy this? Do you know where I could find that? So we thought, you know what, let's just try and bring people together, So we actually, we actually sat down and started looking for people that sell school uniforms and who sells toys, So we actually, the first one we ever did was done in our office. The building wasn't even complete. We had unpainted rooms, and we started, and then we had such a major turnout of schools. The numbers were crazy. We were really shocked because we're like, where are they coming in from, So we squeezed all these people. They all came in, and then they'd walk through, they'd buy stuff. The companies were really happy, and we didn't know it would, turn into something so great. But I think for every year, we kept giving a symbolic number because it's a lot of work. So like by the time we got to the third one, we thought, yeah, 3 is a good number. I mean, we've done 3 years. This is good. We could stop, And then we find ourselves moving to 5, and we said, 5 is quite good. We can actually, 5 is a round number, so we convinced ourselves. So to get to 10 years. So our aim was just to be able to bring service providers and people who have products, educational products, bring them together and then invite the education community. And we feel that, this experiential form of learning is one of the most unique ways that you can learn. So even if you can't afford these products or services in your school, come and have a feel, come and do a demo, come and touch them, come and find out what the trends in education are. And so that's what our dream has always been. So this year we had a plan for a whole week-long event in the city of Abuja, which is following the same dates from next week. And since we're not able to do that now we've moved the physical event to later on in the year or maybe next year. We're actually hosting a full 1-week virtual learning festival starting on Monday. And we have speakers from different parts of the world now, which is really exciting, which we wouldn't have actually had if we were having. Yes, a lot of partners, people were calling and saying, oh, I can deliver a masterclass. People are giving us their time for free. They're delivering a lot of free sessions. We have a panel session for school leaders. We have a sessions for the first time. We have an in-house session for consultants, trainers. So if you're following the name, you can actually sign up from any part of the world. Tuesday are the main classes. We have a full day for young people, secondary school students and undergraduates. And then we ended on Saturday next week with a parent and educators conference. So 4 different speakers. So people have put in their time. There's so much energy. Even me, I'm very overwhelmed. People are, we have companies actually calling that they want to sponsor. So our hearts, we're just really grateful because we didn't have an idea of how things would turn out. We just thought, let's just keep the hope alive. Let's just try and do something. So it's turned into something a bit more than we envisioned. Yeah. So we're excited and we're really grateful about that.
Excellent. So you like the name said, you saw a need, and the annual school needs expo is there to sort of fulfill those needs.
True.
I think that's exactly how, that's what the name is so simple. That's how it was. Like, yeah, some schools need stuff. Let's just, so that's how the name actually came out, as simple as that. And we've had, Mr. Della has been there like every single, always behind us, supporting us. We have such a wonderful team of people who are there. Even the times when we don't believe in ourselves are like, you know what, let's just not do this. And they're the ones calling and saying, you can still do it. What's stopping you? So I think it's really important now more than ever. You have strong people are around you who are also there to keep you accountable, to encourage and all that.
Absolutely. Right. Still on the ASNE 2020, been a big one. In terms of the program starting on Monday, how can parents, for example, students here in the diaspora, how can they engage? I must say that at the end of the program, we're going to put all the details up as well on the screen.
Oh, lovely. Okay, that's nice.
People can be in touch. But, are there specific programs or sessions that you think will be of benefit to parents and students on this side, for example?
Yes. I thank you. So on, let me see what we have. So Monday, we're just doing the intro. We're going to be on Instagram Live. We're just doing our intro. And then we're inviting everyone that, people that come in and make the request, we're inviting them to speak for a short time on the video. So that's Monday. On Tuesday, there's so many mixed sessions that I think, because we call them, we have educators, but parents, you actually are educators now more than ever. You're very involved with your, now you can see that you're very more involved with your children's learning. We have sessions from international coaches. We have sessions for virtual learning with a disability. We have someone doing a session on integrating technology into the classroom. We have something on relationship management. And then we start the day with a session called the People Puzzle. And this is for administrators and for teachers, also a free session. So I think there really is something for everyone. So even if you're a parent, you can benefit from that, because those skills are things you're also learning that can also help you improve your workforce skills. So if you go on the, we're gonna have the website on the screen, right?
Yes. So at the end of the program, the various contact and how to register.
Oh, that's lovely. That's really nice. Thank you. So that's fine. Yeah. So I think there's something for everyone. Young people from every part of the world. On Wednesday, two really great young minds are taking over our Instagram page, and then we have a Zoom session in the evening. We're calling it the Hangout with Generation Z, 5 to 6:30. There's a Google form. If you go on our Instagram page and ASNE_NJ, there are forms everywhere. You can fill the forms. You can get to join. You can. We want to hear from the young people. We want to hear what's been up. We've been talking to too many adults, talking to a lot of old people and people in government. So we want to hear what the young people have, what solutions they have. I mean, one of them actually have a solution for people. We know, yeah, so they've all been very excited that they get to say something, so that's what we're doing on the Wednesday. So we encourage everyone, if you have a teenager or an undergraduate, they can actually join in.
Excellent. And then also on this program, we also have education business owners and suppliers who also log onto this program to know what's going on in Africa, Nigeria as well. So are there still opportunities for the companies? I know it's Monday, but this program will be aired 2 days before Monday. So do you have are there opportunities for maybe suppliers of educational products, for example, to be involved with this program?
That's really kind. I'm interested in people are actually still calling. So we have what we've done in the past few weeks. We've actually hosted as many of our partners. Almost every day we've had Instagram Live sessions where we're hosting them on just areas of interest. So we do have room, and what we might have to do, what we're considering is having a 1 week post ASNE session where we can continue to have these conversations with them. So they still want to have their own webinars and bring together all the network. So we do have room for service providers, and we're doing a lot of course, acknowledging all of them the whole of the week, so they get that coverage. And we're trying to think of creative ways that they can showcase their services and products. Even in this short time, we've met some very new organizations who just want people to know what they do. So there is, again, if you're on the website, you can actually click and you would see where you can get more information too. So there is room for service providers. And then just call us. I mean, even if you're not going to come now, we can always have your contact details too. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for sharing. I must also thank you for your, sort of the visionary efforts that led to this program. And I'm sure once again that what you've demonstrated by still carrying on, despite all the challenges, is leadership. Because I think one of the things that has been most scarce during this pandemic is actually real leadership. Leaders who would rise up despite the challenges to still make things happen. So once again, we celebrate you. So to all our listeners and audience, please be part of ASNE 2020. I've been there almost every year. I must say one thing I'll miss this year is normally before going into the exhibition, you have like food stalls and ice creams and all that stuff. So I'm gonna have to order some takeaways just to make up for that this year. But I'm sure the other expenses will make up for the food. People like we come for what you know we come for. It's clear why companies exposed. Part of the refreshment. So yes, we look forward to the excellent ASNE Virtual 2020 starting on Monday. More information will be displayed at the end of this program. We are coming, we've got about 5 minutes to the end of the program, but I wanted Mrs. Ajala to touch on the aspect of sort of agropreneur, particularly for young people. I mean, I know the young people in this country who are thinking of returning to change Africa, particularly in the agricultural space, but they don't want to use cutlasses and hoes and old school stuff. Want to do something more modern, wear their jeans and have a bit of a good time. How is agricultural space and what are schools like yours doing to make it more accessible to young people?
Thank you very much, Benga. The agri value chain, I think, is the hugest. The value chain is so huge, You have those that can go into graphics, just designing what labels will look like on containers. There's a huge gap there. And we have a lot of our children that can use all this computer software and animations and things to begin to bring out unimaginable things. That space is missing. We have the logistics, we have the supply chain, we have the warehousing, we have the processing, we have the production, you have the social media marketing, the space. The space is huge for anybody that wants to go into it. And that is one area that you can never go wrong with, because till we die, food is going to be important. Is a sector that you can't go wrong with. And in the course of even teaching it now, we're looking at options like hydroponics. And we have visited a number of farms, and we're also setting up within the school a small hydroponic section and also a greenhouse, so that the children can practice modern mechanized agriculture that delivers food that they will even eat. There's the area of research. There's the area of harnessing even rainwater to make it work. There's the area of using even water. They even use water from the sewage, from all that. They rechannel it back to water things, take water from the fish pond, and all that can be put together to be used for biofuel. So there's a huge gap there that the children will be so excited to learn. And so we're building up all that and making it interesting. So it's not a question of, hoe and cutlass and all that. Of course, there's a space still for that. I mean, you want to plant something, you want to see it grow. The excitement of seeing that is quite an inspiring thing to see and all that. But there are ways around it now. So you can imagine planting something, not even you planting it on the ground. You just, the hydroponics method, you are just using minerals and water, and you see it just unfold before your eyes. So there's a lot there. There's AI there, so much happening in the agri space. And we're opening it up to our children to see the opportunities that are there.
Excellent. So there's great hope for our children, particularly in this part of the world, to return. And I never knew graphics was a part of agriculture and graphics. I couldn't have brought the two together.
Look at those beautiful labels you see. Look at the beautiful labels you see. Who does it?
Excellent, excellent. I think it's something that I mentioned at the beginning as well, that I believe that perhaps schools in Nigeria, and I'm sure schools like yours are already thinking about perhaps summer programs where young people from the diaspora can return and be part of some of this experience as well. Is that something you're doing or thinking about, Mrs. Ajala?
Well, it's something we've been doing before, but I know it's something we'll continue to do maybe from next year. You know, everybody has to let COVID settle now and see the direction of where things are going. But usually is like an immersion. You know, the summer program is a program that is not, apart from maths and English, is not too focused on academics. There's a skill building and a team building and a bonding thing that just takes you back to things you should know, things you should learn, skills that you will need later in life and all that. So the summer program is normally a very fun thing that we hope by next year we'll be able to have a good one. COVID has put all of us on slow motion this year.
Maybe a virtual summer program may not be totally out of the question.
That also, because I saw something similar. I saw a virtual internship for different programs and courses that some top universities brought together, and I went into the website. It was mind-blowing.
Really?
No. It was awesome. You know, so it's something we're looking at. So Benga, we're taking that up, have a virtual summer program. Excellent. That will be mind-blowing.
Excellent. I must say, Mr. Ajala, I recently called you somebody who, I guess like all of us on this show wear glasses. I just spotted that. But you have an impressive foresight. When I was with you a couple of months ago, one of the things you told me was, how can we get these courses online and be virtual?
Exactly.
I was thinking, look at all the old COVID situation. I'm thinking, well, she said it like in November when I last saw her, or October, that, you know, somebody needs to think how we get our courses online and virtual. And here we are in May 2020, and we are virtual. So yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, madam. I really
thank you. Thank you very much.
We've come to the end. You know, when you have two interesting speakers with a lot to give, time does go so fast. It's normally a 30-minute show. Wow. Thanks to COVID, we're given a 1-hour slot this time around. Some benefits of COVID, I'm sure some of the other programs are not having.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks, Ben, for this opportunity. But I just want to give our two speakers just an opportunity to just give us some closing thoughts. And I want your closing thoughts to be centered perhaps on COVID and possible opportunities you think it presents. I think we've heard a lot about the problems, but let's close with COVID and possible opportunities you think it presents for the education space. Starting with you, Mrs. Opashi, and then Mrs. Ajala.
Okay, thank you so much. This has been a lovely session. This is really good. I think a lot of things that are coming out and that we're trying to put into the minds of educators is to consider things like mergers, acquisitions, you know, partner with other outside, franchise organized. We're just trying to get them to think a bit differently instead of holding on to something that is struggling. A lot of smaller schools are really not able to meet, you know, they're not going to be able to meet their target to be able to continue. And so we're trying to put those thoughts into their mind and bring people together to start talking about things like that. And then again, those who are doing very robust, excellent online programs, they actually have people signing up from outside of the country. And so that means that people can get the opportunity to even learn, you might want to teach your children the Nigerian languages, and you're in the UK, you're in the States. And so people now have the chance where they can start learning things like that. And so I think that's giving a lot of opportunity of things that you wouldn't have thought about. So you can actually connect with Africa a bit more by exploring the online world. So that's something that's also coming up that's quite exciting. And a lot of people are reinventing and rearranging their curriculum to try and, you know, to weather any other storm that may come their way. And we're also learning, I think, about those skills, and Jala's spoken about too, those skills that we take for granted when we're focusing on the academics. A lot of skills that we've taken for granted and we're not putting into our children enough. So those are some things we're thinking about. I know there are like 100 other opportunities and all that. So key partnerships, yes. So So that's what I'm thinking.
So we've not wasted the crisis then.
No,
Dala, over to you.
no, we haven't wasted the crisis. I believe that, you know, anytime you're in the valley, there are lessons you pick that you bring up with you.
Yeah.
And like somebody said recently in one of the webinars, he said he believes the next set of billionaires will come from the education sector. I believe it too. I believe that this has shown the reach, the global reach we can reach beyond our classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are opportunities now to have tailored tutorial classes. There are opportunities to take individual children with challenges and work with them.
Yes.
There are opportunities to have, for those that are able to have a solid, robust learning platform, to subscribe to smaller schools to pay and take something of it, so that the standard and the quality is great across board. We are the one providing the service. There's an opportunity to begin to design curriculum, to work content that will serve different categories of people. There are people that are going to go into homeschooling as a result of this for their young ones.
Yeah.
There is a chance there to have an opportunity to do something for homeschooling. So the space is wide for a lot of things to happen now. And so it's now global. So I'm doing GS1, I'm doing, if somebody wants to write WAEC and the person is based in Bangladesh, why not register with Ladela online? Do your classes, register your WAEC, there's a private WAEC and all that. Do your, you know, so the space is now wide beyond what we imagined.
Yes.
And so I think that's a good thing that has come out of this.
Oh, fantastic. And on WAEC, you mentioned WAEC. Is that still going to take place this year? I know IGCS is cancelled and
they haven't.
But what about WAEC? What's
they haven't taken a decision.
Statement yet.
You know, because it's not a Nigerian thing. There are about 5-6 countries across the West African coast. So all the countries have to come together to agree on what will work.
Okay. Great. Well, I hope they agree something favorable. I said on one of the platforms I engage with teachers in Nigeria, where a teacher said, that boy is so naughty. And I'm thinking, well, he's at home on virtual studies. How could you tell? And I said, well, maybe this is a season to be reaching grace and not judgment. So maybe why should also be reaching, sharing grace across the board this year than any other year. So let's hope for a positive outcome. Once again, it's been a great one. We've had fun on this program in the past, but I can't remember being this fun. And for me personally, like I said at the beginning, having two women who've played a critical role in my journey in the education space, and people I still look up to as role models. They're always doing things. Mr. Jala, many interesting things, and still on grandmother duties as well. This is Apache with many different things. Going on courses, on videoing, on different things. I'm not sure where to get all this energy and time, but for young people like us, we must be ashamed of ourselves. Are doing great things.
This is Apache, social media queen.
So thanks for being such a gift to the education sector, and I'm sure with you, the future for Nigeria and Africa's education sector is in great hands. Thank you very much, madams, for being with us tonight, and I look forward to seeing you at ASNE 2020 in a few days from now. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And
thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you very much.
It's been really nice. We look out for the.
See you at ASNE.
See you at ASNE.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right. Thank you. Okay.